When it comes to applying for an IUL, there is a common misunderstanding that it's this, thing that you just get because you want it. But I'm here to clarify that getting an IUL is a bit of a process because it's not just an account, it is, in fact, a life insurance policy. And because it is a life insurance policy, insurance companies are putting up a lot of money on the line if they grant you this account. And so there is a bit of a process that I'm going to explain to you in this video so you have a good understanding of the 3 major steps to take in order for you to apply for an IUL. Again, this is to apply for an IUL. Just because you apply does not mean that you are going to get it. I'm going to walk you through what that application process looks like exactly. If this is the first time that we are meeting, my name is Nobu Musekiwa. I'm a licensed financial professional. I do IUL, so if you're interested in working with me, there is a link in the comment section that you can follow. But on this channel, my goal is to answer your questions about cash value life insurance, including IULs, so you can make better decisions with your money. The very first thing that you are going to want to do if you want to apply for an IUL is you need to find someone who can submit this application for you. You, as a regular person that is not licensed to discuss insurance products, cannot apply for an IUL on your own. There has to be somebody that is licensed to talk about life insurance, and more importantly, someone that understands how to create an IUL that actually does the application for you. Unlike a regular insurance policy, an IUL is flexible and is customizable depending on what the owner of the policy is trying to do. And so someone could be a life insurance agent, somebody could be a life insurance salesperson, but they have no idea how to create an IUL, let alone how to create an IUL that actually is going to perform well. So you want to find someone that is able to create this IUL for you, because that IUL that's designed or created on your behalf is what's going to be submitted with your application. You cannot go to the companies directly to get your IUL. You have to find somebody like myself that designs that IUL for you and submits that design with your application to the insurance company. One way you can find somebody that designs IUL, well, first you have me, so I'm one option, but if you feel like I may not be a good fit, you can ask around amongst people that you know, your friends, your family, and find out if they got a life insurance policy recently. And if they did, you can ask the person that did their policy if they do IULs. If they do not, they might know somebody in their network or in their organization that is able to do an IUL. You also could do a search on Google, IUL agent near me, to find someone in your area that does IULs. And also, if you just hop on Instagram or Facebook, there's ads everywhere for agents that do IULs. Now, the main thing in deciding in the person that you are going to work with to do your IUL is, one, you want to make sure that they actually do IUL. So if it's someone that normally does regular term policy, they have no idea how IULs work, I do not recommend that you work with them, because it is important that your IUL is designed properly, and not everybody knows how to do that. And you don't want something that's not designed correctly, because down the line you will end up losing money in that IUL or having a policy that's not sustaining itself, and that's not something that you want. So you want to make sure this person actually knows what they're doing. Preferably all they do is IULs, or they mostly do IULs, so that they are going to design something for you that makes sense based on your goals, and that's going to sustain itself long term. You also want to work with someone that you actually trust. You also want to work with someone that you have confidence in, right? So somebody that you feel like they have your best interest, somebody that you feel like is listening to you, because you are essentially telling this person what it is that you want, and trusting them to design something for you, because you, as a person that doesn't know about IULs, you have no idea if what they're designing actually makes sense. And so you want to work with someone that you feel like you trust, and it really is very much a feeling. It's kind of like, if you're buying a car, you don't know the salesperson, but you just have a feeling like, okay, this is somebody that I trust is gonna not sell me a lemon, as opposed to someone where you just feel like, they're just out for themselves. So work with someone that you trust, because you are, putting trusting them to create something for you, but also you're going to be asked for a lot of personal information. And if there isn't a level of trust there, then it's not a good use of your time or their time if you're going to get started but not follow through with what you need to get done to get this application completed. If it makes you feel better, talk to people over the phone, have conversations to see if it's a good personality fit, before you dive deep and get an IUL designed for you. One more thing, sometimes you get people that specifically want to talk to somebody in person. It's not uncommon for insurance agents to be remote. And so if you want someone that's going to be working with you in person, that's going to be an extra barrier for you to getting this done, because just like you want to be working remote, insurance salespeople want to be working remote as well. I work with all of my clients 100% remote. I do not do in-person applications. And so if you want someone that's in person, I am not your girl, but it is going to be more difficult for you to find someone that is going to be in an office as opposed to working with someone virtually. But once you've decided who you are going to work with, once you've decided who your IUL specialist is, who you want to work with, once you've decided who you want to work with, who your IUL specialist, who you feel comfortable with, the next step that you want to do is really think through what the purpose of this IUL is. As I said, an IUL can be flexible depending on what you are trying to do. So if you're someone that is designing an IUL for the purpose of, pulling $100K every year to do real estate deals, we're going to design that differently versus someone who is creating this IUL for a newborn and they just want this money to grow for the next 20, 30 years. Versus, someone that wants this IUL because they want to be able to just have retirement funds in the next 40 years. So you want to be very clear about why you want this IUL. What is the purpose exactly? The more clear you are on what you want the end result of this IUL is, the better it can be designed for you. If you in your head you're thinking, I want to be able to pull out $10,000 next year, but you don't tell me that, then I cannot help you design an IUL that is able to do that. Or I cannot tell you if you're putting enough money to make that happen. So you want to be crystal clear on what it is, why you want this IUL, how is it going to fit into your financial goals? Do you plan on taking money out? If yes, when do you want to take that money out? Are you going to pull money out to invest? Are you just pulling money out and keeping it out? All those things matter in order for us to design an IUL that is going to actually do what you want it to do. So sometimes you hear, bad things about IULs. A lot of times it's not because the IUL wasn't designed properly. It's because the person that is using that IUL misused it and didn't use it according to what they said they were going to use it for, right? So for example, if you tell us, I want to put in $1,000 a month into this IUL, then you end up putting in $200, that is going to impact how your IUL is going to function. So be crystal clear what it is that you want to accomplish so that the person that you're working with can actually create something for you that makes sense. And with that information, you can then have a conversation and set up a time to design this IUL with your IUL specialist. And if you're clear on what it is that you're trying to do, they're going to design something that is going to help you to accomplish your goals. Once you have had your IUL designed, you're going to see something that is called an illustration. And that is pretty much a hypothetical of how your IUL is going to perform. Don't get too married to this because it's very much a hypothetical. Like nothing in that is guaranteed. It's just based on what you're planning on putting in for an X amount of time. And if we assume X amount of growth, here's what it's going to look like. But like I said, don't get tied to those numbers because what is going to happen in real life will depend on how well the market is performing. Just a little recap, the way that an IUL works is every dollar that you put in, part of that money goes towards paying for your life insurance. Anything above and beyond that goes towards a little savings bucket. the interest for those funds is going to be credited based on how well the stock market is doing. So no one can predict how the stock market is doing. Don't get tied to those numbers. Just know that the money that is in your savings bucket is going to grow, but the rate at which it is growing is not guaranteed in the IUL. Once your IUL specialist has designed your IUL for you, the next step is to submit an application. You, as a regular person that's not a licensed insurance salesperson, are not able to submit this application on your own. That same person that designed the IUL for you has to submit the application. What is going to happen is that they are going to sit with you or be on a call with you or do a Zoom with you and fill out all the questions that are required by that particular company that they are submitting your application with. So if you're working with a broker like myself, there are multiple insurance companies where we are able to submit an application on your behalf. And so my job is to make sure that we are submitting an application to a company where you have the highest chance of, one, getting approved, and most importantly, accomplishing the financial goals that you want to accomplish, right? So I need to make sure that I'm recommending a company that makes sense based on what you are trying to do. In order to submit an application, one, we need that illustration, which we already have, but you are going to have to provide a lot of personal information in order to submit that application. So some of the things that you are going to need your social security number, you are going to need your address, you are going to need to let us know all your medical history. So do you have diabetes? Have you had cancer? What's your height? What's your weight? Who's your doctor? All those things are required for the application. And most importantly, you are going to have to also provide a bank account. Reason being, in order for the insurance company, whichever insurance company, to review your application, that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of energy. And if you're not in a place to provide your bank account so that if you get approved, they pull out that first payment, then they're not going to take the time and energy and effort to use their resources to approve you if you're not serious enough to provide a working bank account. They do check to confirm if your bank account is valid. Nothing is taken out of that bank account until you actually get approved. But if you're not comfortable providing your bank account or your social or your address, then it's not a good use of your time to talk to somebody about an application, because every single insurance company is going to need that information. So make sure that you are ready and willing to provide that information if you want to apply for an IUL. Depending on the company that the application was submitted with, some companies will give you a response pretty quickly on the spot. Most companies, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to actually do their investigations to check on your medical history, your criminal history, your financial history sometimes, in order to determine whether or not they are willing to take a risk on you, right? Because they are pretty much saying that, hey, we are going to pay out X amount of money in the event of your death. And they are deciding, do we want to take a gamble on that or not? Is there a high probability that you are going to die soon? If the answer is yes, then they're not going to approve that application. But if they feel like you are going to live pretty long, then they will approve that application because it's a favorable risk to them. So I know people don't like to always hear that, but that's what it is. You're not guaranteed a life insurance policy. Life insurance companies are a business, and we live in a capitalist society. If they don't feel like it's beneficial for them monetarily, then they're not going to approve you. They feel like you're a high-risk person. High risk meaning that you have a higher probability of dying. It could be because of your sick. It could be because of your criminal record. It could be because of your family medical history, right? There are lots of things that they look at to determine whether or not you are a risk to them. And if they feel like you're a risk, they're not going to say yes, because they don't want to say yes and then tomorrow you die and they have to pay out, $400,000 on your behalf. So you have to wait a little bit for the most part to hear whether or not you got approved. And if you got approved, then they'll take out that first payment. And as long as you continue to put in your monthly amount that you said you would for your policy, then your policy will be intact. Now, sometimes people do get approved, but then because they don't understand how these things work, they make some crucial mistakes with their payments, which end up costing them their policy. Now, I don't want that to be you, so make sure you check out this video right here to see exactly what those mistakes are so you don't do them. I'll see you there.